Hello, ladies and gentlemen on YouTube. Those people who are in chat on Twitch, chat will be hidden, so I won't be seeing what you guys write during duration of this thing. Keep in mind, if you have questions, you can save them till after the review, and we will add them as the final portion. Your chat will still be visible for the people watching this on YouTube, so you can still say hello, YouTube. Yes. So we reviewed game number 1 yesterday. The key takeaways was, red side, a lot of top lane bans, Leona, Prio, super high, Twisted Fate, Sylas. There are some things that we are learning throughout the series. So let's take a look at this game. We just fast forward until, of course, the draft is done. We load up Epic Pen. Epic Pen is now here. All right. So the key thing is, first and foremost, we have Sylas into Twisted Fate. And Kindred into Graves is something that we've seen many times. Graves has a slight edge early, but considering Sylas into TF, this is going to be very beneficial for Kindred. Very similar to last game where we saw Hecarim against Lilia. Lilia can be stronger against Hecarim early, but having a matchup where Sylas is going to get pressured in early allows for a lot of freedom. And that's the same thing here for the Kindred. Considering the top lane bans, the third pick Camille together with Twisted Fate, Renekton is out, the options begin to be a little bit slimmer here. Fiora and Jax both make sense because you can deny the potential gold card and you do fine into Camille. But winning games with Fiora, we've talked about this a lot on this channel. Reaching the conditions where you're going to be strong enough to erase towers or be too strong in team fights, those conditions are so hard to meet. There's too much focus on dragons and objectives and elder dragons. It forces you into grouped scenarios. And if Twisted Fate uses his Prio early in order to make sure that he can, give space for the Kindred and you can pressure some early dragons, all of a sudden the game gets accelerated out of hand against the Fiora. We continue, the conversation of Ashe. Jhin was banned here. Jhin is something that they didn't want to let G2 land on. Syndra banned as well. This is something we've seen as a very common blue side ban. And then the Shen as a target ban as well. Because this is just something that LCK doesn't play. So you might as well, alleviate yourself from the pain and just ban it. Lilia, Nidalee, Graves' first pick is normal in these cases because all the premium junglers are banned. The big surprise, I guess, was just imagine here in a world where, I could see a world where you lock in Camille Galio here, right, into the Twisted Fate Kindred. But you give Kindred a lot of value, and this is counterintuitive to what Damwon like to do, specifically against Kindred. You could also just wait and pick the set here and the Ashe and just look to pick something that is more mobile. But the key ban here that hurts Damwon is the Syndra ban. If the enemy team is banning junglers and you're looking for the first pick Graves, you give up the Twisted Fate for it, you are going to be in a position where you are going to be in trouble due to the lack of Syndra. The key pick here is Syndra. You want to have a lot of range into Kindred. You don't want to have any hard commitment, so that's why Camille Galio feels a lot worse. But it definitely feels better than what we landed on here because Sylas falls in the same category. The ultimates here for Sylas aren't that premium. It's just the Twisted Fate ult, and then the Leona ult, and then of course Ezreal ult, and then Kindred ult situational. Nothing too fancy. There's no big swing here like a Hecarim ult. So here in hindsight, maybe the better choice was just to lock in the first pick TF, or just look for something that is going to be able to contest Prio and is a mage actually. That's the key thing. Mages are good against Kindred. You could even consider to go as far as picking potentially an Azir here. Azir is not something that we saw a lot during the World Championship, and of course it's been nerfed, but it is something that is good into the Kindred and can contest prior against Twisted Fate, but it runs into similar issues like Sylas, because TF can actually, fight back early on against an Azir. But it is better than the Sylas in my opinion. I think Sylas, just like Fiora, needs a lot of conditions to be met. The most important thing here, well, like with the Graves first pick, is that this composition is not good for Graves. Bottom is fine because Ashe gives you prior, but Sylas and Fiora are two champions that want the attention of the jungler, while Graves is a jungler that wants the attention of his laners. So if you think things that synergize well with Graves or things like Twisted Fate, champions that are very willing to give up their time in order to push and elevate the Graves forward. So here you already have three champions that are very, very, different from each other. Very different. Let's say this was a Sejuani, right? I know mentioning a Sejuani is quite kind of absurd, but just think for a moment if this was Sejuani, then it will make a little bit more sense. Synergy with the melee, level 3, all in, strong 2v2, strong 3v3. This would be like more in line with what they want to do. And this is another reason why we see so little of course, the Fiora. But nevertheless, I think TF first pick would make more sense when Syndra is banned, or you don't ban Syndra and you look to first pick Graves, and then if enemy picks Syndra, you pick something into Syndra, or you just blind pick Syndra for the Showmaker. I think Caps's Syndra performances weren't good enough to justify anything else. And I think that the Syndra ban makes the Kindred a lot better here, especially if you're planning to first pick the Graves. On red side, it's a very good, well-rounded composition. You can pressure into top side if you want to with these three, and then Ezreal, Leona are always going to be useful within the game. They can even feed and they'll always be useful. They're just so strong, well-rounded champions that there's never a game where these champions are going to be weak, unless they are just feeding the Set and Ashe out of hand. I think Ezreal and Leona are just way better quality of champions in contrast to Ashe and Set. We continue. I think we've discussed the draft at great length. Fiora is hoping to reach a point in the game where she breaks the game in half by being too strong and pressuring towers. Key thing as well, we've seen some montages from these Chinese Fiora players, and I don't think anyone is quite as good as that in pro play. I think if the champion reaches that point, we had this discussion in the AMA where we discussed what if AI exists and is perfect. I think that would, like, if you have perfect play, I think that would elevate a lot of different champions, and I think Fiora is one of them. Fiora has so much room for mechanics to show through that a perfect AI would definitely, raise Fiora's win ratio through the roof. And there's other things like that, like Yasuo or Riven, or that maybe the best of the best one tricks can be good at. But in terms of pro play, it is hard to dedicate that much time into the craft of a single champion. Kalista could be one. I'm sure there are others. If you didn't check, if you didn't see the AMA, it's up and about right now, and you can go check it out. It's a fun AMA. You can also ask your own questions if you're interested. Oh, I'm feeling good today. I want to admit that. Everything, the last 2 days have gone perfect. And I appreciate that, because that's rare. It's very rare. I'm not saying that as some kind of a sad thing, but, not a lot of things go as you planned. Can you just mess up? Look at that, he messed up. He messed up mechanically. I do this too on Graves. I don't feel as bad now. That's pretty cute. It's easier for Graves to start with no leash than it is for Kindred. So the idea of this matchup, a lot of people just consider that the W blocks the E, but it's not necessarily only about that. It's that you know, Camille doesn't enjoy playing against heavy gap closers because you can deny the external healing from the W. It's kind of a cone, right, and the outer part is what does a little bit more damage and also heals the Camille. And that's something that Fiora can do super well, just close the gap. But this is only in isolation, right? If it was a 1v1 tournament, Fiora would probably win. But there's so many things, external things that are happening within the game that that Camille just interacts better with. That's the key thing. I might have to go right back for a little moment because my food is arriving. I ordered some food right before we started, and that might be the case that I have to go right back. And keep in mind here, Showmaker only has 2 potions and Caps has 3 of them. Jankos is also first and they have a wave advantage. So this is very much easier for G2 to play out. I think the idea of Showmaker was to hard trade before the timer of Graves, but Jankos did well to match it. And now Caps is very winning. Showmaker has no potions, 1 corrupting still, and you have your choice of crab. Maybe Caps can go so far as to create a TP advantage in this situation due to this lead. But Barrel is converting and going straight into mid to make sure that this doesn't happen. And Caps burns a flash. This is very, very huge. So Ash set, we mentioned, they synergize well with Graves because they actually can fight for prio. And then here, Ash is still in lane, and considering Ezreal warded the lane, I feel like they should be able to make the assessment that Barrel is going to move into mid. Because if this doesn't work, then Caps will be able to convert this advantage. But now, no flash, it is reasonable for Mr. Showmaker to be happy in this state. Yeah, it was punished as well. That's cool. Ezreal and Leona get a lot of breathing room, which is also a price you pay, right? It's not like this flash gank in mid was for free. There was a price to it. The division in the map as well, Kindred playing for her mark, makes Camille not be able to trade with her Q, and this is also super rough. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, Nuguri, big CS advantage, outplayed Wunder big time. I think in the early lane phase, for sure, the early trades, for sure. But then the map is kind of divided here. Right? So Graves is pathing into top side, Camille can't really trade, and it's rough. But of course, I think Nuguri did some good trading here, but as we said, the matchup in isolation is tricky for Camille. Also so important in any Camille-Fiora matchup, or Jax-Camille matchup, or Fiora against Jax matchup even, any type of lead is so easy to snowball out of hand. It's like you get 1 kill and all of a sudden it shifts the whole game. It can get very, very nasty very fast. In a lot of cases, saving TP with Fiora is something that a lot of Fiora players don't do. They just want to make sure, like even 3CS losing that is something that they don't want to do. Yeah, I didn't understand why Perks moves forward. Like they had that as a winning situation. Like here it's winning already. Battle with the W, and then Mickey with the final auto. And then I don't know why Perks moves forward. I think he should allow Mickey to fight him, and then after some time move forward, use the heal, and then you're good. So we mentioned about you know, how everything is connected. Ashe and Set are winning, they are pushing bot, and then Set is moving into top, into mid. Ezreal and Leona are allowed to push and create a wave state that is better for them. Set gets cut off because due to the information of him walking mid, Kindred, after taking crab, can camp for him. He burns flash. Ezreal and Leona in very healthy state, even though they should be losing against Ashe and Set due to Set moving into mid. That impacts the whole bottom situation. And then here you have the all-in situation that occurs So first and foremost, Beryl is out and about. He's walking forward very, very far. All of these minions are fighting. You know, all these minions are fighting for them. And then we have Flash for Flash. In reality, I think Ghost shouldn't have flashed and just should have kept fighting. Another thing that is important to point out is that Ghost has Cleanse. And realistically, if Set is the one getting fought, like if he's the one getting hit by Leona and Ezreal, then in reality, that one are playing without a summoner. This heal is going to have more value. The Flash, you know, all of these things are connected. Now the question is, was what Showmaker managed to get, is it worth it? So now he has a base, he didn't TP yet, Caps is in trouble, he has no mana. Here Showmaker has a base advantage, Canyon is pressuring now around mid lane, and this is the reward for the price that they paid in bottom side. And of course, you know, they could have played more safe, Beryl didn't need to commit for this trade, he could have recognized the state that he was in after burning his flash. But I'm just trying to paint a picture of how all of these small details matter. Yes, Angel? Okay. The salmon food is for you. I put it outside of the bag. Okay? All right. Mickey with the massive tempo swing. Now their thought process is we need to recover the lane for Camille. It's all about spreading pressure. Both G2 and Damon are good at it. Recognizing which parts of the game they need to look to impact. So the Showmaker now with TP advantage. G2 are looking to impact top. They get a kill on Fiora, and all of a sudden Camille is ahead, and it's going to be very, very important. They're moving in. Wonder reaching level 6. Very good. So once again, you see all of these events occur. Like this wouldn't have happened in a case where Mickey doesn't get that double kill, doesn't have boots of swiftness, doesn't have the big tempo swing, where Set sacrifices his lane to go into mid. Right? And sure, same conversation, right? You could have had the foresight to, you know, avoid this because Nuguri is in fact getting slow pushed into. So maybe there could be, you know, a heightened sense of, you know, I'm in danger due to what happened on bottom. But it's interesting still how everything is connected somehow. And now with Fiora getting this assist and being allowed to push out, she gets a lot of breathing room in a matchup that started off very rough for her. And now Showmaker is using ult into mid, and this is a pretty big cooldown. Because Destiny and then double that CD, it's like Destiny is already super long cooldown, and then double that cooldown for Sylas is pretty huge. And then Showmaker, he just wanted to keep his TP. I think in most cases TP is just better than Destiny, due to, like, if you TP in, you can still steal someone else's ultimate. Like if you Destiny in, you're not going to be able to take a Leona ultimate. So you're just keeping the TP, and in fact I like this decision. Here, interesting, Nuguri had one ward, but it seems like they're just going straight for the Herald. Oh. Straight for the Herald. Use the fact that Camille is in the tower on top. And honestly, Herald dies so fast when two people are hitting it. Many times junglers are just hitting it alone, and it's such a time sink. And here Fiora stacked a wave on the bounce, got the wave in. If there was any punishment that you could, you know, look for as a G2, it's on this wave, right? Here you are in a state where Kindred is doing blue. And the key thing is, after you kill a top laner, in a lot of cases, or even any lane really, is here Canyon is catching, and then you know the wave is going to slow push into G2. And if they want to prevent the Rift Herald from occurring and they want to look to extend their lead, the punishment needs to be happening on the upcoming wave. Here Kindred is doing blue, so everything is very, very, you know, obvious. Also, of course, the Destiny helps. I didn't put this into my consideration because, of course, Kindred is shown here on the map due to Destiny. But in a world where Kindred doesn't do blue and paths into topside, for example, she does Gromp into Wolf and to topside camp, and then they prevent this wave from crashing, this could be, you know, an opportunity to even extend the lead further. Instead, Fiora gets to push in all the way. Camille can't contest this on her own, of course. And Wunder can't even fake pressure because the blue is taken. You know, all the information is there for Damwon. Like here, he can't even pretend that his teammate is right behind him. And then the big wave crashes, and this leads into a Herald. And now, just because Fiora made the wave crash, this gives her a lot of safety once again. She can let this wave push, she's not going to contest, and you have this ping-pong gameplay where Nuguri has no reason to walk up because Kindred and Twisted Fate are indeed first on this situation. So Nuguri already the first time he died was a mistake because the wave was slow pushing into him. You could see it because Camille reached 6 before Fiora and so forth. It wasn't the greatest. Parks here has tier, so it's important not to commit too hard into these trades because I don't think they have enough damage to kill Mercury set. I think this trade was a bit reckless, but they have a huge XP lead here on the bottom side. So, you know, Mickey went for the roam, got the kill top, she had a lot of XP. Ezreal was catching the wave solo. You know, a lot of things were nice for him. Man immune situation, and bot lane is in a very, very good state. They based first here on bottom, Damon's bot lane based second, so they're just starting up Drake with that tempo. You see Ashes walking to lane now. Very good stuff. And there was no punish as well from Damon. They didn't get a freeze, they didn't get to gain any minion advantage, just a clean Drake. And these Drakes are important because you don't want to extend the game against the Fiora. Here, Leona is very durable. I was surprised that they're committing as hard as they do. I thought here, straightforward, all you want to do is, because they're turning on the Ashe, I think here you just Q barrel and you start hitting him, and then you keep E until you go all the way. But make you play this decent enough. Key thing here is that they don't know Graves' position up until now. Like now they don't Graves' position. So it's very similar in the timing of when Mickey is. And naturally you want to focus the Ashe that has Berserker Graves and not the set who has Mercury and so forth. But yeah, in hindsight 2020, you just want to Q the set there and start autoing him with Ezreal and stack the passive of Ezreal. Then you turn with the E and R when Ashe is overcommitted. Here I was very surprised by Damon's decision, because putting all of this gold into Ashe, I think, is completely useless. We already know the win conditions. It's like if Sylas is ahead, you've seen Sylas being ahead many times. If Fiora is ahead, she's going to, you know, snowball onto the Camille. If Ashe is ahead, it really makes no difference. It makes almost no difference. And Set being ahead too, like these three champions are not what is going to decide and define the game. So using the Rift Herald here, I am really not a fan. Showmaker didn't use Flash. And also with the play on top side, this occurs too, right? It's just pretty straightforward that when Graves shows on bottom, the gank into top side will happen. And then here we had the famous Sylas TP in the middle of the wave and gets cancelled. So this was a very nice play from G2. And Showmaker was just not awake. Very low HP. And Wunder is always playing with his life when it comes to the Camille gameplay. And to me, I think this was only allowed because of the Rift Herald play on bottom. If they didn't go for this Rifter play on bottom and they just isolated bottom side, I think that would be completely fine. I think 3v3 top side, they are still relatively stronger. And now it's looking good. It's kind of silly how in the press conference someone asked Perks about his death on bottom and just like, what happened when you dove Ash? Yeah, I thought I could kill him and I couldn't and I died. It was such a stupid question. Journalism. It's so close as well. And Nuguri burns flash here, I remember. So unlucky. This is a good dive. It's a good call to dive. Perks just misplayed. Like he's like Ash is dead here. And then Ash getting this kill, Blade Ruin King is, you know, back to square one on bot. It was strange to see Wunder in such a light, you know. I've only seen this type of Wunder, like the timid Wunder. I don't know if timid is the right word, but I've only seen Wunder be like that against the Shy, Bin, and Nuguri. This year's Nuguri, not last year's Nuguri. In different cases, he's always the type of player. He's come across to me as the type of player that enters the mind of the enemy almost. And now it felt like almost the opposite. Huge. Game breaking. Right before the Ocean Drake as well. Nuguri pushed topside, but Wunder sacks his wave. He doesn't give a damn. He just went for the mid dive. Now this is G2 in their element, right? We saw these situations against Gen G2 fighting around the mid tower, doing bold things, finding the potential dives. I think Sylas not going for Mercury here is pretty wild. Very, very wild in all honesty. Super crazy. There's just no real way to defend this, I think. I think they've just eaten way too many spells. Capsule to Flash was pretty neat here. Wunder just playing. I hope Wunder is playing with Last Stand. That man it's crazy. Boom. No reason to contest this side of the river at this point. I think here Wunder is just clearing this wave as slowly as possible because he's playing on his TP timer instead of anything else. And the amount of pressure that Damon do as a squad is very limited. Like Camille could even freeze. Like Camille could be freezing right now and it would be really, really good. Like unless Mickey ints it like this, I think there is no way to really start a fight. Like there's no reason for G2 to do this. Like Mickey has no reason to go here. I'm assuming Camille is freezing right now and they're getting a lot out of it. Bottom wave is even, no one's pressuring into bottom side, and there's no mid wave. So Mickey is just taking unnecessary risks here. It makes absolutely no sense to do this. And then here, the gold card is just too insane. Look how insane this is. Caps is that he has the foresight to think about this. Like it has to be a prediction, I think. Because here, if this gold card doesn't land, this is a disaster. And I know I said that Mickey doing this is wrong, but it only works because of Cap's snap card. Too good. And now Camille is breaking the freeze. She was allowed to recover just a little bit. I really like this play from Damon. And this play really signifies Damon's thought process, I think. I think if they are losing in the game, they are willing to increase the amount of activity and, you know, play outside of the norm of what is expected. There's no macro cleverness that they can really pull through here. And I like the Showmaker, you know, is chilling in the bush, waiting. It's pretty good. I was also pretty funny, I just wanted to mention, because I realized I didn't mention it before. Nuguri was jacking all the mid waves. Like, as they were sieging in mid, and the bottom wave was even, like, Fiora was just eating all of the waves, and Ash got giga starved. Nevertheless, we continue with this. Like, looking at the game state, this is a very, very tough game state. Sylas is behind, Ash is not going to be useful, Graves is also behind, Kindred is super strong, Fiora, she needs too much time to be useful. They need to create some craziness. So let's roll the craziness. And then Showmaker plays this really beautifully. Look at that. Very nice. Very, very nice. And there's a very, very big contrast to Damwon being in a winning position and G2 being in a winning position. When Damwon is in a winning position, they limit situations like this. Especially against G2, which was so clever. I really liked the preparation against G2 because they were willing to not take minions for the purpose of simplification. Because here, in all honesty, you look at G2's decision, Ezreal Leona will have mid-prio. There's no reason to show on bottom wave. Caps can be in fog of war, Ezreal Leona hover into bottom side, and then nothing of this will happen. G2 are just taking unnecessary risks here. And Damwon, he's chilling in the bush, taking a page out of a G2 book. This is something, you know, you remove name tags, and a lot of people would guess this looks like a G2 situation, right? Which I think is cool. Just Damwon very good at limiting risk and creating risk when it's necessary. And G2 got punished. Next Drake is in line. Quicksilver Sash on Ezreal. It's still a very, very tough predicament that Damwon is in. They get the triple kill on bottom, but still their composition has so many flaws at this point in time. Ezreal is one full item ahead of Ghost, and he's playing Ash. It's not going to be useful. Nuguri is taking golems. That's all they can hope for, but we have soul points already going on for us now. And there's no way in hell they can teamfight this. No way in hell. There's no chance here at all. Considering they burnt the TP, of course, here. I don't know if W would have made a difference here if he W'd the Tussafate's card and stunned him. TP of Sylas is being burnt, which limits the amount of shenanigans that Damwon need to create. Like, they need to create shenanigans, and no TP until next Drake is definitely something that will hurt them. TFTP will be up sooner, and Fiora reaching a breaking point becomes more and more unrealistic. This is a bit strange, but we'll take it. Still, G2 full mid prio, no problem. Yeah, that's why I'm telling you guys, Wunder, I hope he's playing last stand. Probably not, but the man was always fighting at very, very low HP points and playing around the Camille passive very beautifully. And Camille's conditioned still. Like, Camille is not a pushover, right? She's not going to get dove straight up by Fiora. So Fiora is not in any condition to do great. That's why I was so surprised, you know, G2 were on blue side a couple of the games and they kept banning Camille, especially after the enemy team showed that that they will ban top laners. I think you could have just replaced the Camille ban with a Renekton ban and look for Camille first pick, and I think Camille is very, very good for G2. Super, super good, in fact. Showmaker using the Leona ult, which is like the most premium ult he has coming into the Infernal, which means it's not going to be up. Unless the cooldown is that low that it will be up, but I sincerely doubt it. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds, so I don't think so. Caps is monster fed, already revolver finished. Ashe is painfully useless. Very neat play here again from Jankos to get the ult on time here for his boy Caps. Showmaker is caught, and this will lead into the Baron. Here Parax has no reason to follow. He was just going crazy. W missed. Maybe he could have could have put his enemy in kill range, and that one just concede the game here. I was reading a lot of community feedback and they were saying, oh, both of these teams are just running it down. I think when they recognize that they are losing, they do run it down. Because I think it comes from the respect of the enemy and also just from trying something, you know, trying to make something happen, testing it out. I think that's reasonable. Like here, like the reason they're making their final stand here is because they're 2v5, 3v5. Obviously, it's not intelligent to go for, but their thought process is that you give Infernal here and the game is giga lost. So to summarize, this game, I think, was massive draft victory for G2. I think the double kill for Leona leading into the topside roam, killing Fiora, I think this was so huge. Showmaker had that TP advantage, but what did he get out of it? He went into mid, he was trying to TP top, got cancelled by Leona, almost died, and Fiora died again. And then I think a key mistake here from Damwon is the fact that they used the Rift Herald on bottom and showed on bottom, and I think this was very, very bad. Here's Nuguri, gets snapped in half, and we have game 2 finished. Which leaves the floor for the fans in the chat. What do we have in the chat? Anything in the chat? Any chatters? I realize now that I didn't remove. I didn't move my camera, so forgive me for that. I missed it. Can you do it again? No. What about the other games? We're going to do 1 game per day. No questions? Would you prefer Set support or Leona? I prefer Leona. I don't think Set is better at any point in the game. Set has the benefit of being physical damage. Not sure about the swiftness on Kindred why. I guess it's just for all of the slows, but what would you play into Leona's support? Like what can actually match it? I think nothing. I think Leona is the strongest support. It's not that you can't match Leona, it's just that Leona can match everything and do more. Leona forces itemization, forces summoner choice, and is incredibly tanky as a champion. Poppy is not good against Leona, guys. Nautilus loses against Leona. Morgana with the right AD can work, but Leona has room to outplay it. Thresh also room to outplay it. Alistar can also outplay it. Hey, I'm sorry, Ender. I just wanted to tweet something. I don't know, man. You know I love you, man. Let me know if you want to play. Let me know if you want to do abuse with me, brother. I saw you were smurfing. I saw you were carrying Mr. Vedius. I think this meta is right down your alley. You give off master tier vibes when you jungle. You want to do abuse with me? Okay, let's go, brother. Let's go. But game's too hard. Brother. Yesterday, can you imagine? I played so many games. I started solo queue here. Actually, this was my first game of the day. I played 17 games on the day, man. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, people are turbo bad. It's unbelievable. People turbo bad. But it's just mental gap. Mental gap. Yeah, fiddles. I just wanted to play something that allows me to turbo, carry. Because I felt like even in the games that were turbo doomed, there was some room to do shit. But here, enemy Ashe was just too good. He even bought a Wit's End to counter me. You wanna play now, Ender? You in?